One of the most confusing things about Premiere Pro when you first come to it is the folder structure. So we're going to create 3 folders: the project folder, the original footage, the rendered footage, and those 3 folders will then be filled with the project, with the original footage and the rendered footage when we've finished. And we need to split it into 3 just to help us organize ourselves. Now, you don't have to call your folders these names. These are the names I use, but you need to follow this methodology if you want to make sense of Premiere Pro. So don't worry too much about whether you understand it at the moment. By the time you get to the end, you will. We're also then going to have to create a new project, and we're going to look at a simple workspace setup. So let's go and have a look at that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up Windows. Now, this course is designed for Windows users, but the same principles are going to apply if you're using a Mac. You're just going to have to duplicate the folder setup using the Mac system. So what we need to do is create our 3 folders before we start. So we're just going to right click and we're going to select New Folder, and then we're going to title that with the appropriate titles. So now we've got our 3 folders. This is the file structure we're going to use to go forward with when it comes to Adobe Premiere Pro. But what we're basically doing is separating our project folder, which contains project information, from our original footage, which is our raw footage, our raw video recordings, from our rendered footage, which is our outputted video. That's the completed video at the end of the project. So that's why we're splitting them up. Otherwise, it gets very confusing. You'll end up accidentally deleting the wrong footage or working out of the wrong folder. So the first thing you need to do is get these folders set up. So if you're new to Premiere Pro, I recommend you just take the free trial, a 7-day trial. Now, the 3 pieces of software you're going to want to install are Premiere Pro, Adobe Audition, and Media Encoder. You will first of all have to download Creative Cloud, the Creative Cloud app. When you go to Adobe, they're going to ask you to do that. When you've done that, you can just click on Try, as you can see here, Photoshop. So you can download Premiere Pro and Audition and you can try. Now, a lot of the time people will want to find cheaper software to do their video editing, but if you're going to do a lot of video editing, Premiere Pro, Audition, and Media Encoder are going to save you so much time. They are the industry standard. Yes, it is a little bit expensive each month to have a Creative Cloud license, but if you're producing lots of video content, it is worth every single penny. So make sure you've got all those 3 pieces of software installed after you've installed the Creative Cloud downloading tool, and then we can create our project. So all we need to do is create a new project. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to browse to the folder where we created our original 3 folders. Now we're here, all we're going to do is select our project folder, select that, and we're going to get these options come up. So we've got our general settings, our scratch disks, and our ingest settings. So all we need to worry about is our general settings. Now the renderer is going to change based on what CPU you have. Usually just leave that as it is. It's going to ask you your scratch disk. It's going to ask you where it wants to put Adobe's temporary files. Now Adobe loves creating loads of temporary files. So if you do have a separate drive in your PC, a slower drive that you can put your scratch disk on there, I suggest you change that here in these settings and change all of those onto that slower drive so you're not hogging up your main drive. If you only have one drive, obviously just leave it the way Adobe have recommended. So we're going to click OK, and we have a new project set up. Now, what I would like you to do is duplicate this workspace. What this is going to do, it's going to remove anything we don't need that's superfluous to us learning how to use Premiere Pro in a simple manner. So what have we got? We've got the effects control panel up here. We've got the Adobe Clip Mixer, which we can click on there. A little tip for you, if you want to move things around, it's not obvious with Adobe how to move things around, but let's just say I wanted to move Project Untitled and I wanted to move that up here. Now, when I select it, sometimes this window, for instance, if I try to move it, it won't move. But if I click along the top here, I can then drag that, and can you see where it's highlighted on the edges? That is me telling Premiere Pro where I want to insert that. I don't want to move anything around. I suggest you move stuff around till you get to this layout. So let's just go through this layout. We've got effects controls here. We've got our audio clip mixer, so we can see how our audio is doing. We've got our preview window. We've got Lumetri color. And down here, we've got our project folder, our effects folder, and our history folder. We've got our selection tools. We've got our timeline, and we've got an audio indicator here. So this is how you should set up Adobe Premiere Pro to follow this project. There's lots of other tools and windows you can add back in later on as your knowledge of Premiere Pro grows, but just for a basic editing setup, this is going to give you what you need.